channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are NV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Eldritch Horror. This is a 1 to 8 player game. It's designed by Corey Knitska and Nikki Valens, and it's published by Fantasy Flight Games. Nick is going to give a brief overview of how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table for a 2-player game of Eldritch Horror. I'm just going to go over a little bit of how this game plays. Not going to show you all the rules, not going to give you a full playthrough, just to give you an idea of what you're doing in this game, see if you might want to purchase it if you don't already own it or you have not played it before. So in a 2-player game, we have this little card right here. Depending on the player count, there are a bunch of these cards. I think this game goes with 8 players, maybe even. Here's a 2-player reference, so it shows what we start with. A gate. Oops, there we go. A gate, a clue, and a monster. So we have the gates here. And you're just going to flip one over. We're going to put this in Buenos Aires. And it has a symbol on there, which we'll talk about soon. So we know that monsters are going to spawn out of gates. So we're going to get one monster per that card. So we can draw a monster out of here. And it is the witch. And she has attributes of her own on the back side. The witch will be there in Buenos Aires. We're going to also, the first thing we're going to do now is select the monster. So let's do Yig. Yig here has some abilities, some different setup here, and a Mythos deck we have to organize. So we're going to organize this Mythos deck in a certain fashion based upon what is listed at the bottom left of your monster. And the Mythos are these cards right here that do usually pretty bad things. Yig has special abilities you have to pay attention to. And to win this game, if you're Yig, if you're fighting Yig, which I actually want to do Haster over here because I have his card set aside. So let's do Haster. Put Yig away. Haster. Okay. I have his mystery cards here, so it's just easier. So Haster has a little setup here. Okay, got it. And to win the game, we have to solve 2 mysteries. And he has his own special mysteries. He has his own special clues. You'll just look for the same monster. Look at that handsome looking fella or lady. Haster. Okay. So they have their own unique stuff that we draw out. Their own unique clues, everything you'll see right here actually. So these are the mysteries. I just drew 2. And he has some encounters and he has these clue cards. You can see that by the magnifying glass over here. So let's get rid of that monster and throw Haster's clues. So in this game, we're going to select our investigators. So we'll just say we are Zoe. And we have a health. We have a psychological index right there. And we have these rolls, how many dice we get on these different attributes. So we're going to be testing different attributes. So when we test this book symbol, we're going to test lore. We're going to roll 3 dice. 5s and 6s are successes. Whenever we have to do tests, everything else is a failure. And often those tests will just say you either pass or fail. If you get 1 success, you're a pass. So Zoe here has very poor observation, but very strong will. So we would note that we'd be weaker in observation and maybe want to do something about that. We also have certain actions that are special to us and an ongoing ability as well. On the back side, we have some flavor text here. Right here is flavor text. Where we start on the map, she starts in Rome, Italy. And we also start with a Holy Cross asset. Assets over here, there's a big stack of assets right there. And we would get the Holy Cross. So on your turn, what you're doing in this game, as I said, the whole point is to solve these mysteries. So that's what I'm going to flip over 1. We only know what one of them is first. And we don't know the other one until we accomplish this first one. So we have a little agenda right there. You're going to win the game by solving those 2, and you're going to lose the game with both players either dying simultaneously in the same turn or running out of doom. Doom is based on your monster. So Haster here has an 11. So we have it at 11. On your turn, you have 2 actions. You can do different things. There'll be cheat sheets with the game. There's little cards that say what you can do on your actions. But you can move, for instance. You can move. You can get a boat ticket or a train ticket. And you can see those are pretty obvious on the board. These are trains, and these are boats. For these special ones, you have to do the walk, so you cannot move additional. But in cities, you can acquire train and boat tickets, which will help you move quicker, as opposed to doing the one move action. You could spend a boat ticket to move again, and that would all be considered one movement action. You can, so not only can you get these tickets and move, you can also rest, for instance, but you cannot do the same action twice. So yes, that was considered one movement by doing that, by spending a boat. Otherwise, you could not move again because you've already done your movement action. You couldn't rest again because you've already done your rest action. When you rest, you get health and what do you call it? But psych. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're called. Sanity. Victor's yelled from a room. Sanity is what we'll call it. That's good. I don't know if it changes because we play Arkham, we've played Mansions, and all these other games. But we're going to go with Sanity. So, we're going to put out our chips for our health and sanity here, whoever we are. That person has 8 health and 4 sanity, and they have the exact opposite. 5 and 7 is who we are. And you're just going to go around the board doing different actions out here, and then that will be the investigator phase. After that, after you perform 2 actions, you're going to have an encounter phase. And to me, this is the biggest part of the game because wherever you go on the board, you are accomplishing something. It could be you might be working to get to a certain place, or you're actually in the place you need to be to accomplish a certain task. So they're very critical where you do your encounters. So if I did an encounter in Rome, for instance, there's nothing here. There's not a gate. There's nothing here. And this is all going to be full of different monsters and stuff as the game progresses. But right now, nothing's there. So we draw a card that correlates with that color, and we flip it over, and we resolve the Rome effect. And this is where it'll say to test something. In this case, test influence -1. So if Zoe were able to do that, she would only test a 1 because she only has a 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. She'd only roll 1 die, and a 5 or 6, she would do the succeed action of whatever that might be. Usually a positive. And then if you fail, it's quite negative. So you want to build your character as best you can. You can gain, on an action, you can also gain assets right here if you're in a city. So these will help you accomplish different things. They could give you bonuses on certain attributes. So like this Chief Inspector here, Zoe would really like to have this Chief Inspector because that improves observations. And if you remember, Zoe has 1 observation. This would give her 1 extra, or if she's doing a research encounter, which is a clue, if she were trying to earn a clue on the board, she would get +2 as well during research encounters. So this one is prime pickings for Zoe over here. So we're going to do our research phase. The encounter phase. You can also do gates if we're in Buenos Aires, right over here. We can encounter this monster. If we were to kill this monster, which you can see, the witch is actually very easy to destroy because she only has 1 health, so that's no problem. But it is punishing if you do not defeat her because she will... you'll get a cursed condition. There's a bunch of conditions in this game. There's a small stack of them. There's a huge stack in this game, though, of different curses or conditions you might gain. They could be bad, it could be good. Not all conditions are that bad, actually. But in this case, cursed condition is a bad one. So we would do that if we're in Buenos Aires, and if we were to defeat it, then we can do a gate. And these cards here, we would draw a card for the gate and resolve these effects, starting with the top. If you pass, you get to do this effect. If you fail, you get to do this effect. There's just all these different encounters you're going to have on this board, and you're just going to keep playing until hopefully you solve all the mysteries and win the game. That's how you play. Hey, welcome back for the review of Eldritch Horror. This is actually our first in our H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu mythos, even though we've played plenty of them. We just decided to do Eldritch. We'll start with that. And this game is very good in that you can have 1 to 8 players. So this is really diverse in that regard, but you can't bring everyone to the table with this one. So in one way, it's diverse that you can have a certain number of vastly different experiences with an array of numbers, 1 to 8. But you can't bring grandma to the table with this. You can't bring the family. It's a pinpoint type of thing. It feels like it's a teenager and young adult. I don't know. It just feels like that. And I guess that's kind of what the mythos is targeted at. But gameplay wise, it really doesn't matter as long as you're over. What do you say, 14?
Yeah.
14 and up would be pretty suitable. It's not a heavy, complex game. There is a lot of luck involved. Know that. I would give that actually a negative for that because, some of those cards are super swingy. Incredibly, wow. There is, it's very punishing. Some of those cards in the Mythos deck are extremely punishing.
Brutal.
To the point, game-breaking punishing if you get them at the wrong times.
It's true.
So I docked it for that, straight up. I just said, you know what? I don't even know if I want this card in the game. And I have thrown a card out of a game from these Lovecraft. I threw one of the Mansions of Madness.
It said you can't talk to somebody anymore. You can no longer talk at all.
Why is that there?
That was not in this one.
No. This little sidetrack, why is that there?
I don't know. But that's crazy. I couldn't imagine someone actually holding that.
No, and then what's the big deal? That card's there. That's what they're doing. It's okay, you got that card. You got the insane card where you don't talk. Very cool.
Well, maybe it makes it more difficult.
That's the only time I've ever thrown a card that wasn't a legacy out. I just threw it out. So I'm never going to use it. Don't want to see it. Anyway, back to Eldritch Horror. So there is that. That's why I kind of pointed to it because it reminded me that this game is so swingy. It's unnecessarily swingy at times. But it's also so gratifying when you get to solve a mystery, when you get to finish the game, and come out victorious. Because it can be a long game, and you're just trying to scratch and claw your way through the game, fighting off all these gates, all these monsters, everything. And you're getting docked from the Mythos phase all the time. Your encounters, you might not roll well, but you are mitigating those odds all the time when you do encounters. If you pass, you're improving your character all the time. So it is a very enjoyable game. It's just that, man, is it swingy. You don't know, if you sit down, you don't know if you're going to smoke the enemy. You don't know if you're going to get destroyed. It's just a roll of the dice. You just don't know.
And he has a poor track record with rolling dice.
I do.
It just doesn't work out for him.
In this game especially, but the last time we played, I think I did okay. And so did you. So, all that evens out to an 8-5 for me. Honestly, if you would have asked me maybe 6 months ago, it could have been 8-8, 8 something. It's just those cards are so punishing that it can ruin an entire game. What if you committed 2 hours and it just happened that at that very moment in time, it had a card that had the conditions that were met by that card at that particular phase? It could ruin the whole game, and you could have just wasted a couple hours with, who knows, 4, 6 people.
But Nick, you don't lose until all the investigators are defeated, but you can get another investigator when you're defeated.
Yeah.
So it's not, the worst thing, in terms of
No, it depends. I could be talking about Doom, just reducing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Doom, there's no going back from that one. But yeah, good point.
There
I was
is
just
one
thinking
way
about
to
the investigators.
Occasionally, you can increase your Doom by 1. Occasionally, if you draw the right cards, or if somebody. Don't you increase Doom if you find someone, if you recover their things? I can't remember.
No, you can retreat it. Sorry.
Yeah,
you retreat it. Yeah.
So there's some ways.
But he's right. It is true. If you had a big investment into the game, it can be really brutal. And we've had games like that where we did spend some time. And I like that it's cooperative. I don't know if you were finished up with your thoughts on
I'm done.
on it, but I really enjoy the cooperative games. Nick is a little better than me at most games we play together when we're against each other competitively. So I do enjoy when we get to work together towards a common goal. And the monsters are cool. They all have different, stories. I like reading the cards because sometimes I find it really hilarious. So, your back is broken in 2 and your brain is hanging out of your eye. And what?
And the names?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to butcher the pronunciations of some of these. I don't know what the monsters, the things from the I don't really read much Lovecraft or anything like that, but I find it just so funny sometimes, some of the terrible things or the weird bizarre stuff that is printed. The story is so interesting in this, and it's just there's so many cards in this game, and that might put you off, but I love how many different items you can have, all the different things that you can choose to flip it or not. A dice might make you flip a card, things might get worse. you could get better. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. Everybody has a backstory. The characters are really cool. Man, there are a lot of characters. Oh my goodness. I resorted to just picking like a short list of like 6 and then randomly giving myself one. And Nick does have quite a few expansions. Well, I should say we're married now. They're our expansions.
How dare you?
But we have a number of characters.
Yeah, so we have a lot of characters, I was going to say, and a lot of cards because we have all these expansions. And I was thinking before recording if we're going to go ahead and review each of these expansions one by one. That is quite a task because we have to separate these. I don't have these separated right now. These are I'm just throwing things that fit. And I don't think that's even it.
No, I think there's another box somewhere.
Yeah. And
in his bed. Our bed.
Again.
I'm getting used to it. But yeah, there's so many characters to pick from, and I just do a short list and I randomly give myself one because they really all have interesting abilities. Some of them are similar to each other but have slightly different things. Some are real great. Some you think aren't that good, but there are situations for every character. So I don't feel like you can go wrong. Interesting little weapons and things they start with. I really enjoy this game. I have a lot of fun with Nick when we play it, and we don't always win, but we don't always lose either. So it's a good time for me, and it does have an online version as well that we've played. Was that Tabletop Simulator?
Simulator has a good scripted version.
Really good scripted. So if you don't want to deal with this, all the boxes, all the stuff, you can play it online too, and that'll set it up for you. So my score for this game was an 8.7.
That was my guess.
Yeah, 8.7. Really like this game. Really cool. Love it. Even on the worst nights when we do lose, it's like, well, that was time well spent because I had fun. So I recommend picking it up if you are with someone that, you know, stuck in quarantine, or you're married, or you're dating somebody. Why not get the game, and then you have something to play together and look forward to and advance in different... I mean, it doesn't follow a story that goes throughout, but you get to encounter different big bad bosses to handle, and they all have different effects. And it's interesting.
The scope of the game is really cool, too, because it's not just... A lot of these games, you notice you're either in a room, a neighborhood, a mansion. So this one it pulls out all the way, and you're in the world, the entire globe. So it's cool how you're traveling around that way. A lot different than the other ones that we've played.
Yeah, and the thing too I'll mention with the map is it says explicitly what those locations will do. Mm-hmm. It'll say like improve strength, gain a spell, spawn clues. Very cool. It gives you some guidance as well, which I really appreciate. When you play the game, you'll understand what I mean, or when you look at Nick's overview. But it's good to know, like, okay, if I go, to this spot, I know that possibly, not always, that this encounter I'm going to have is going to lead to, a development of some sort, or improvement, or, So it's good that way, and I just always had fun with Nick playing this game. So highly recommend it. Check it out for sure. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this game, or what your favorite Lovecraft game is. And like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel if you would, please. And we'll see you next time.